Hey everyone, this is the Millionaire Hippies podcast with your host, Shikha, where we chat about spirituality, business, and health. We all want to live self-actualizing, fulfilling lives with joy, prosperity, and gratitude. Let's go on this beautiful journey together.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast episode. My name is Shikha, and this is the Millionaire Hippie podcast. In this episode, we will be speaking about yin and yang, darkness and light. Recently, I did a 7-day, 7 cafe, 7 post challenge with one of my good friends in Chiang Mai. And so what we did was that we went to a different cafe that we hadn't been to every single day. Around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning, we'd sit down for 3 or 4 hours, and we'd chat about any subject under the sun, whatever we felt like. So it would move from topic to topic. We sat and chatted, and then we'd have to write a post about it right away while we were together, or usually ended up that we'd go have something to eat and we'd go home and then we'd write a post then. It could be a poem, it could be a children's story, it could be a blog post, whatever you wanted. The format didn't matter, the medium didn't matter. We had to create something either based on our conversation, hopefully related to it, if not something that we got from the conversation that started a flow of thought in our head. So we did this challenge, and both of us are really happy, light human beings filled with light. And I'm not saying this to brag, it's just the way I have always been, and he always has been as well. Something that we've always struggled with, because in this world, it's actually easier to be a dark human being, to be unhappy, to be miserable, to be depressed, to be stressed out, than to be happy, positive, and happy to be alive and loving the universe, right? And weirdly enough, it's actually easier. I find that my friends like me more and they want to be my friends more when I am in that mode of depression rather than when I am positive. I've had a lot of my friends from the past message me and tell me that I'm way too happy and excited about life and they cannot hang out with me anymore. Shows you the state of the world, I guess. Anyway, so that is how we are. We're very light. We have a lot of light inside of us. We noticed after we finished the challenge that for the next few days, about 3 or 4 days, both of us, but specifically for me, I only know my experience, but he corroborated it. We were both really exhausted. I was exhausted. I couldn't or didn't want to do any work. I wanted to sleep all the time. I didn't because I had stuff to do, but I could have just laid in bed all day long and watched Netflix. I was exhausted. I didn't realize this challenge had taken so much out of me. And then one of these nights after the challenge, I think a couple of days after, I puked my guts out. I vomited because I think it was because I was letting go of a lot of stuff, and basically I vomited to let go of that past, of the challenge, of the stress, of all of that, right? And so I think just now both of us are beginning to recover and come back up again. And in those moments where we were in that darkness phase, we noticed that we had a complete ego death. We felt like we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We felt completely disoriented. I felt like, for the first time in a long time, that I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing in my life. I felt like shit, and it was really, really interesting to notice the difference between the high that we had while we were doing the challenge and the low that we got into while we recovered from the challenge, right? And as we spoke about it, because we spoke about the challenge, and then after the challenge, we spoke about how we were feeling after it and how we were feeling like crap, we had this conversation where we realized that the more light you have, the more darkness you have as well, because one cannot exist without the other. In fact, most people will think positive people are just filled with light and nothing else, and that is nonsense. If people like us, people filled with light, had not experienced the darkest of moments in their life, they hadn't experienced all of the darkness that they did, they wouldn't be able to experience all the light that they do right now. If we hadn't experienced all the darkness, we wouldn't be able to experience the light that we do experience right now. And in order to have the yin and yang symbol come into it, because that's how I would think of it, the darkness and the light, each of them are intermingled into each other so that one cannot exist without the other. If you have a person with a lot of darkness in them, there is light in them as well. All these people who are depressed or sad, suicidal, or stressed out. They actually have a lot of light inside them as well. It just hasn't been illuminated yet. Or they just don't believe that it exists. But in order for them to have that darkness in them, the light has to exist in them as well. One cannot exist without the other. Things do not exist in a vacuum by themselves. Good cannot exist without bad. Every single quality that you have that is good has its opposite quality inside of you as well. For example, if you are a very generous human being, there is the quality of miserliness in you as well, because both generosity and miserliness have to exist together. And that is how the universe works. You cannot have one without the other. If you did, then it would be like having a lot of light matter and then not having the dark matter in order to balance it out. Whereas if you read anything about physics or you read anything about quantum physics or the theories about the world, that there is a huge amount of dark matter in this world, in this universe. And I believe if they contracted out, it would be exactly equal to the amount of light matter that's in the universe. And that's how the universe works. Everything is balanced perfectly. Just because we don't see it in ourselves doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because we don't see the balance in us doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So a lot of times what we do is that we kind of go towards one end of the spectrum. We want to go towards the things that we label as good. So we want to be really, really, really generous. We want to be really, really kind. We want to be really, really nice. We want to be really, really light. But we forget that in order for that to exist, we need to have an equal amount of the other side. For example, if you were extremely generous all the time, it wouldn't actually work really well for you because you'd be giving your money away all the time. In certain situations, in order to live a good life, you have to be a little bit miserly. Otherwise, you will not be able to save enough to go on that trip that you want to do because you'll be giving away all your money to charity, or you'll be giving away your money to your friends so they can buy drinks, or you'll be giving away your money in tips. But if you have an equal amount of generosity in those moments related to the miserliness, you'll be able to live an engineered life. You'll be able to do what you want to do with your money, and also be able to give it away to the people who you think deserve it, right? So you need to have both aspects of it. But most people, they're either really, really, really generous, or they are really, really miserly. They don't know how to go back and forth between the two depending on the situation, because they think one is good and the other is bad. And it doesn't necessarily mean every single person doesn't think that generosity is a good thing. There are some people on this planet who think generosity is a bad thing and they want to be only miserly, right? So I'm not saying that one is always good and the other is always bad. Either one can be labeled as good or bad. Most people will spend more time in one realm than the other, whereas the best spot to be in is kind of moving back and forth. Just like a pendulum swings from one to another, depending on the motion, depending on the situation, we would either be generous or we would be miserly. But we wouldn't spend all of our time in one mode. Otherwise, we're going to be imbalanced. That's what the whole point of yin yang is. The yin yang symbol is about the perfect balance, where everything intermingles into its opposite self, and we are living a balanced life. So coming back to light and dark, what about you? Think about for yourself. What are some light qualities that you have? Something that you think are good qualities in you. Think about those qualities for a moment. So it might be generosity, it might be that you're really nice, you're never bitchy, that you are really kind, perhaps a pushover at times. Think about all those good qualities. And then I urge you to do this exercise. Think about all of the opposite qualities that also exist in you that you are refusing to see. Perhaps you can be a bitch at times because you need to be, because you need to fight for your children's rights, or you need to fight with at the parent-teacher meeting so they're not unfair to your child, or you have to fight for your brother and sister because you don't have parents that can do that. Whatever it might be, you probably have the other side in you as well. But whenever you go into that mode of bitchiness, you hate yourself because you think that you're doing something bad. But actually, bitchiness can be a really good and is a really good and important quality to have, as is niceness. You need to be nice in certain situations, and you need to bring out bitch mode in the next situation because you need to do both in this world that we live in. So if you can do that both of those with balance, that's when you are in the balanced state of yin and yang. Think about that for yourself then. Think about what qualities that you think are good have the exact opposite quality in you, and how you can bring more of that into your life without feeling bad for it, without feeling like it's a horrible quality to have, without feeling like you should only be only light or only dark, but you can have both without feeling bad about it. I hope this makes sense to you guys. It's such an important topic to realize that we don't need to be just one or the other. We can be both and still be thriving human beings. That is the essence of this life that we're leading right now. The more we can move towards balance, the better our lives are going to get. If you guys have any questions at all, obviously message me anytime at boomshikha@themillionairehippie.com. I'll talk to you guys the next time around. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Go check out my website at themillionairehippie.com if you want more free, awesome content. If you really like the podcast, please consider giving me a 5-star review on iTunes. Until next time, namaste.